Welcome to the Brewtiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
We're back into a virtual episode. Well, I mean, not for you. They're all virtual if you're listening. But for us, as Ron's out in L.A. Gallivanting about for some work, and it's, daylight savings time. We haven't adjusted. So we did this remote so I can go to bed on my desk as soon as this ends, because apparently I'm old enough that 1 hour has screwed my entire life for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And that's where we are.
I understand. It's tough. Daylight savings time, and then the 3 hour time difference. I lose an hour on the day I fly, so that was crazy.
It's the toddler and dog that don't know the time change that make me crazy.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
So for this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about we took a trip to Chicago, went to go see some MLS, saw Orlando and Chicago play. It was Chicago's home opener. Had some beers from some various breweries up there. And then, but before we get to that, we'll cover the soccer news, quick highlights. We're going to cover, I like that Ferris for this headline said Cristiano Ronaldo 3, but Tottenham 2. But really, it's 4 goals by Man United, 1 by Tottenham, but the score was 3-2. And,
we'll go over that.
Yep. Number 2, what a week for Chelsea Football Club. Wow.
Ouch.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about that. Jesse, they called me Ted Lasso Marsh gets his first win with Leeds, and Everton. Woof. Just got to think of it just like Kevin McAllister from Home Alone. Woof. That is bad news. And I would go back 2 or 3 episodes when I said they're going to get relegated, and y'all said, nah. And there we are. And then we're going to share, as I said, some of our beer news, which what that'll be is us talking about some of the beers we tried out on our trip. And we'll do a quick little year's roundup. But first things first, since we're in 3 different locales, I think we got 3 beers to try for this episode. Who wants to go first?
I'll do it.
That was hysterical.
There you go, Ron.
It's like a CNN satellite delay.
I normally try and just, not be the first one to go, oh, me. So
Fair
I
enough.
usually try to let somebody else get in there, but
Well, and
since it
after
was
the
just...
week that you and the Blue Blues have had, you might as well go first.
I know. I got to tell you, after this week, if Ron were in person, I'd have done my best to find a blueberry sour that he would have to try.
Oh, I would haunt you for the rest of my days. So I'm out here in Santa Clarita, California, which is about 30 miles north of Los Angeles. And
apparently all the internet in the West Coast went out right as Ron said that he was hanging out in Los Angeles. I love dude was in Beijing and for 2 years and we had minimal technical difficulty. He said the word West Coast and froze completely in the United States. That was hysterical.
am I audible now?
You're back.
You're back.
Son of a... Okay, so long story short, I'm in Santa Clarita doing work. Figured I'd check out the craft beer scene. So there's a bunch of craft breweries around here, but one of them that I just thought the name of the brewing company was a lot of fun. I just snagged their beer. Lucky Luke Brewing Company from Palmdale, California, which is about 30 minutes east of my current location. They have 2 tap rooms. They have 3 tap rooms, one in Palmdale, one in Lancaster, California, and then one here in Santa Clarita. They have a bunch of fun. They look like a ton of fun their tap rooms look like they're a lot of fun. They're independently owned. And like I said, they operate 3 locations. They focus on the art of quality craft beer and the great people brought together by it. We brew our beers with a passion for every element and process that brings these handcrafted beers to your palate. I want nothing more to raise a glass with you and all your friends. So that was right off their website.
And it's
so
called
what I'm drinking is Lucky Luke Brewing Company's West Coast IPA. It's citrus and floral.
Well, if you're
There's
you're
they
the
got
West
some-
Coast. Oh, the can art's great, or the
Lucky Luke.
lettering I like for the Lucky Luke. It looks good.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be better with the. There you go.
And you said it's a 6.3?
Yeah, 6.3 on the old ABVs.
Of course,
Lucky
it has to
Luke.
be a West Coast.
Lucky Luke Brewing Company is a tribute to Luther G. Hammonds, a man that stood for quality, integrity, and true craftsmanship in everything he did. Every beer we brew is rooted in our commitment to uphold these qualities in everything we do and everything we brew. Enjoy your beer fresh, share it with friends, and drink responsibly.
I like
That's the
I like
map or the stuff on their can.
my first thing was Lucky Luke was the cousin of Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah, right?
Ferris, you're gonna go twice. And here's what I mean by that. I'll read what's on this can, but my beer is from Ferris. I hadn't gotten into this yet, but he brought this over to me. Hefty 9%, Big Storm Brewing's Category 3 Belgian Triple, which I had not tried theirs yet. Yeah, so it's complex and delicate, golden orange triple. I might have had one. You had one.
When we were remote. Yeah.
When we were remote, you had one, but brought one to me, and I had not tried this yet.
Cool.
So it says the Belgian triples are the most well-known of the traditional Abbey-style ales, a big favorite of Ron and I. Almost some of the most complex and delicate, a difficult balance between malt flavor, dry body mouthfeel, mellow spice with hints of clove, bubblegum shine, and this golden orange triple. I'm stoked.
Oh, sounds yummy.
It is. It was probably my favorite of the category series that we had on.
Sweet.
So it is.
I think I have had that.
It is very, very good.
Yeah, I think I have had that.
And I have a beer from Ron and I's gallivanting in the Great White North, Canada. I have from Collective Arts Brewing, which we've had on the pod before, out of the Toronto and Hamilton areas, and they're actually looking to open up a brewery in Brooklyn. But I have their IPA number 19. It is a triple IPA with Nelson Sauvin hops, Citra, and Azacca hops. I think I said that correct. Maybe not. But 10.5% alcohol, so it's a good thing. This is what's going to do to me is I'm going to drink it, do this pod, and then probably pass out probably afterwards. But this is also a collab with Finback Brewery out of Queens, New York.
Huh.
So it was brought to us by some of Ron's in-laws when we were tailgating for the U.S.-Canada match, and it kind of made its way back as this was not drank. And since I only have one can, I'm going to be very selfish and have it on my own.
Perfect.
You just stole that from the tailgate, you sandbagging son of a.
I did not steal it. It was given to us. We had the Mexican lager at the house afterwards. I still have the other lager with the cool name that that's in a bottle that we all want to share on the pod at some point. But This was one I was like, I don't know, it'll be okay.
Gotcha.
So I have it. It kind of has it's a dark blue can with just this big orange sun with an eye in the center of it. More like a reddish orange sun.
Not to be confused, the Eye of Sauron, just in case Lord of the Rings fans are listening. Just in case.
It's also 4.97 UK units.
So you got a 10%er and I got a 9%er. We're definitely going to bed after this.
Yes, sir.
I probably won't be too far behind you.
And then I'm also going to pour it into a nice pint glass that Ron and I got for $1 whole at a brewery that we went to before you got up into town. The Revolution Brewing pint glass.
Isn't that the craft brew official of the Chicago Fire?
I believe so.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, gents, let's try this. I want to get into this triple. Well, this thing smells very orangey.
Let me see if I have a hotel glass.
Ooh, no, that is one hell of a pour, if I say so myself. Got a nice 3/4 to an inch head, nice and cloudy, looking like a triple.
I've only got the hotel plastic cups.
Classy. You're doing bougie out there in Southern California.
Yep, we do it upright, son.
We've been doing this forever, and I've avoided getting any beer on my keyboard or computer ever. And that go around, I definitely had an errant.
Until now.
Yep.
Whoops.
So I'm like, well, okay, between the Z and the X, I got to go get a cotton swab with alcohol when this dries and turns sticky and get that off.
That is how you get ants, Barry.
That is exactly how you get ants. I was like, man, I've done a million of these episodes, 162 to be precise. Haven't gotten this on the computer ever. All right, here we go.
You can't blame Ron or I for that this time.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cilantro boys.
Ooh, this is tasty.
Oh, Ron, you'd like this, man.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Ooh, this one's good.
This is really good.
Oh, this is a beer for curling up.
Not for lying down and avoiding.
Oh, this is tasty.
I feel like I got to share that Monty Python sketch at some point because we reference it enough that people need to know what it actually is.
I don't think this tastes like a 10.5%, which is dangerous.
Right.
Definitely get a good hop taste, a little bit drier in sense of like a juicy, hoppy IPA. It's a little
right.
That's probably from the Nelson Sauvin hops.
This is good, and I don't taste the 9% at all. You could easily go through a couple of these and get in trouble very fast.
Those are, those.
That's delicious.
This IPA is pretty harsh on the hops up front, and then balances off with some caramel malty notes as it finishes. It's quite good.
Good classic West Coast IPA.
Yeah.
Always a good standard. Cacao.
And the balance of these three hops in this just really equally distributes and balances out the entire beer.
Is it as good as that final PBR you guys got on our Chicago trip?
Hell no, man. Which Ma Dukes gave us a little bit of stick for.
I meant to point out to her, Blake does not have a PBR in his hand, by the way. It is a craft Pilsner because I want to try something
you
different.
want to go bougie.
I got bougie.
The dive bar we were in, there was a sign behind there that said, smile, face.
No, smile, face. That's what it said.
Apologies.
Yeah.
And it had something like cash only, or I don't know. It was the diviest of diviest bars. It was a brilliant bar. The bartender was brilliant. They had a nice 3 or 4 coolers full of all these hop beers. So for the second round, I went with Delirium Tremens for my first beer, which is
Uber bougie, your Belgian
super
beer.
bougie, a beer that most of you know, but it was $10 a can, which is actually kind of cheap for a single can. Did that, and then promptly went on the other side of the spectrum to the only cooler behind the bar that was properly filled with PBRs and Bud Lights. So I opted not to go the Bud Light route, but bought a round of that nice blue and white red can.
Hey, if it's got a blue ribbon, it must be good.
Hey, it's the official beer of World War II. And if it's good enough for our boys, it's good enough for us to just have a good old sip.
Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's the beer so nice that make you taste it twice.
If you got a problem with the Pabst Blue Ribbon, you got a problem with me, and you better let that one marinate for a minute.
I can't take credit for that. That's from a band named Kian. One of my favorite songs, Pabst Blue Ribbon. All right, so on to the Premier League news. So first up, Cristiano Ronaldo 3, Tottenham 1, Harry Maguire 1. At 37 years old and exactly 14 years and 2 months after scoring his first and only hat trick in the Premier League for Manchester United, Cristiano Ronaldo nets 3 against Tottenham Hotspurs at Old Trafford as Manchester United win 3-2 in the showcase of match of the weekend. Well, is Is that what that
it was a showcase match. If you look at all of the matches from the weekend, this was the one that is like every week. There's usually one that usually in that like 12:30 p.m. Eastern slot for us here, usually. But
two teams fighting for Europa places. I mean, is that really exciting?
Hey, listen, it's still Europe. It's still Europe, Mr. Arsenal, who doesn't play, one game in every 9 days and hasn't been in Europe in the past season and a half.
Tell Liverpool to quit, being afraid and postponing matches. We'll see what happens this Wednesday.
They were playing in this little thing called the Chupacabra Cup final. But no, it was the showcase, and nonetheless, Ronaldo scored a hat trick, which can arguably considered the GOAT, in front of the other football GOAT, Tom Brady, who just came out of retirement.
What a load of crap. Brett Favre 2.0.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a load of...
Suck it. That is...
No, it's not phenomenal.
Brady went over, saw Ronaldo, and was like, well, hell, I just had the most passing yards in the league. I'm still a god. I just watched
now
Ronaldo
Tom Brady can go sell
and score a hat trick in Old Trafford. It was a day of brilliance and goats.
So we give a year and a half till Brett Favre is hawking Levi jeans with his dad belts.
Awesome.
The only thing that's different about Tom Brady coming out of retirement and Brett Favre coming out of retirement is the tears. That's it.
Fair enough.
Well, and I don't know, was Instagram even a thing when Brett Favre did that?
No. He'd already been booted off that for sharing inappropriate pics. Oh, look it up.
Let's see what you did there.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't. So the thing is, Ron Ferris. I was gonna say back me up. Ron's not Ferris. Can back me up. Ron, back me up. It's such crap. Like Manchester United did not deserve to walk out of this with more than a draw.
Are you kidding me?
No, Cristiano Ronaldo deserves it. Manchester United
scored a penalty and an own goal.
I know.
Tottenham didn't score an open play whatsoever.
I know. A penalty and an own goal that you gave him. I'm just saying, Cristiano Ronaldo deserves the 3 points. Man United does not.
Fair enough. I'll take the 3 points. You can't tell me that first goal that he scored to open up the scoring was not a complete golazo. At that, it was one that got me out of my off on my feet, on the couch. It was a strike that was fit for a god that he is.
It was. It had nothing to do with anyone else, though.
That's the thing. It's so weird. I mean, I'm not even poking fun at this point. In all seriousness, it was weird to watch and be like, this team is a hot mess. But Cristiano Ronaldo is going to win the day.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird, I don't know in the long run if it does you better to have him or not. And I get 3 points is 3
without
points.
Him,
but
we wouldn't be as far in the Champions League as we are. There's no way we would have gotten out of the group stages.
But did that stretch?
He's second in the league in scoring behind Salah.
But when he does stuff like that, did that limp Ole on longer than it should have? So you didn't get
I think the rest of the players have helped out Ole's argument with being absolutely horrid for 80% of the year, and the other 20% we've advanced in the Champions League. We're in that fourth position talk, but as I told one of the friends of the pod who is an Arsenal fan like Blake, he kind of threw some shade in our Slack channel and said a couple other decent performances, but United are still terrible. And I said, hey, listen, everyone in contention for the 4th spot is terrible. We were just less terrible today against another terrible team. Yes, it was Ronaldo that scored it, but you had a very
I'm
good
sorry.
performance.
I'm sorry. I don't. You left off the one. You didn't give Arsenal a headline, but I do believe that the terms was that was top drawer football. So I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that argument for
who? For what? What are you talking about?
You said everybody fighting for the 4th place isn't very good.
They're terrible.
I just don't. I don't know about them apples there, Ferris.
They are. Nobody seems to want it. It changes.
I mean, a 5-game win streak for Arsenal kind of says maybe they'd like it.
Okay, well, when you cancel your biggest game and you go 9 days between games and haven't played anybody, but you know what? Let's do a pod a week from the day. And you tell me how that Liverpool match went.
I mean,
Or
look,
you tell me how you then actually have to play 2 games
Do
in
I
a
think
week. Well, you might try to
that what
cancel games, so
Liverpool?
only one. But the season's not over. And honestly, if Arsenal don't get fourth, it's going to look really on you guys because you've had no other tournaments and games to play whatsoever, while everybody else has been in competitions and playing. So I can't believe we're going down an Arsenal spin on it. It's not even on the content of the damn pod. I was there telling everybody that United are terrible, and they just beat another terrible team in Tottenham, which you should agree with both of those statements.
It was tough for me because I didn't know how I wanted this game to go. A draw or a loss. I think a loss is better for me because it's more important. You were right, Ron. Yes. Overall, a draw. But if you're an Arsenal fan, I think you want the Tottenham loss instead because no matter what happens, there's got to be St. Tottenham's Day and they end above the Spurs. I think that
I could care less where Spurs.
If Arsenal slips on the last day to 5th place, but they're still above the Spurs, fans will be happy.
100%.
Yeah,
listen,
and it'll still be a good season for you too.
Yeah.
Considering the
it's
the last ones.
I can't believe Ferris didn't give me a headline because I'm just going to say all those signings that he gave me crap for at the beginning of the year. 95 million y'all spent. Who are those people? Well, they're good people. But anyway, we'll talk about it later.
Short-sleeved
We'll talk about it later.
keeper pretending to be somebody good.
Don't forget about Ben White. Don't forget about Odegaard. He's going to be our captain. Yeah, I called it.
We'll see when they play 2 games a week.
Oh, don't curse him like that.
Tournaments against much higher competition than your Leicester Cities, who are as banged up as the next team, and Norwich and Watford and whoever the hell else you played.
All I know is we played against Leicester, who everyone said we should get Brendan Rodgers and Harry Maguire and not Odegaard.
Harry Maguire's not.
Not Madison, James Madison, Madison, not Maguire. Sorry,
you should have him.
I wouldn't take Maguire with who was the guy on Chelsea? Ron used to score all the own goals.
Oh,
David Luiz, and didn't you guys?
No. It was
Gary Cahill.
Gary Cahill.
Gary Cahill.
Harry Maguire.
Like the English defenders love scoring on their own goal.
Yeah, when that
it's
own
the
goal,
curse of the English.
Yes, when that own goal went in, I was sitting there, I was like, okay, it's Gary Cahill 2.0, man.
All right, I'm going to preface this by saying Harry Maguire has been absolute this past year. Okay, he since the Euros, which he had a good Euros, he's been absolute for 95% of the year. However, that own goal, in my opinion, it happens. It's, when your luck is down, it just piles on. It happens. You have to challenge for that ball. That ball should have never gotten in to begin with if the right back is doing their job and holding up that defender, not letting him beat him to the line and then cross that ball in. Harry Maguire, yes, you can sit there and these people on TV, you have to have a sixth sense that there's somebody behind you and that blah, 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 blah. Well, he doesn't know that somebody's behind him in an offside spot.
Well, you just can't be crap
to a dangerous spot, and you have to do what you can. I've scored own goals that exact same way. There's not a whole lot you can do.
And I would start you before Harry Maguire. I'm understanding that fact.
Thank you. I would love to start for Manchester United. that takes me to...
But hold on. I'll just say this. But he has been crap, which is why he gets no slack on it. You know what I'm saying? If he'd have been great, you're like, oh, that's unfortunate by a really good player.
I think it's also unfair to pile on for something like that when that happens so often for center backs. It's hard. It would in the back of the net by the other person. More times than not, they're not all sides in that position. It's a goal, and you're going to ask, why didn't they challenge? The blame for me should be put on the right back who allowed that ball to come in.
I think it really, everybody bears the responsibility because, yes, Maguire's making a play on the ball that's coming in, and those things, yes, they do happen. So I do agree with you there. But Maguire doesn't even know what position he should be playing.
No.
Look at what the Manchester Derby, when he's just playing pinball in the box, sliding around on the floor, just being completely out of the...
Every team does with Man City, though.
Huh?
Every team does with Man City, though.
Hey,
but go back and watch Maguire play every other game he's playing.
I understand that. But the point that I was going to then get to with that right back is he is getting pulled so far. When you play that center back position, look how he played for England. Look how he played for Leicester. What did he have in front of him that allowed him to be as good as he has been for both of those teams? Number sixes. For England, he had Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips. Two number sixes that were workhorses that protected the back line. That's
Did
what
a
a number
job
six
for him.
does.
I got what you're saying.
Right. Fred had a very good game against Tottenham, but he's a roller coaster of a player that you never know what you're going to get and never plays a true number six.
I just love you got a
He
dude
doesn't
named
sit and
Fred.
protect that back four.
I think that's your whole team. That's not just Fred. It's not just Maguire.
I understand that. But the point I'm trying to make is when you don't have that protecting, and then you have your backs that aren't the likes of a Trent Alexander-Arnold or those type that are going to be as defensively sound when they come back, the only one they have is Shaw.
Yeah, you don't have anybody like Tomiyasu or Ben White. Yeah.
Okay. When you have Diego Dalot, who is 20-some years old and is more concerned about trying to put a ball into the box, which he does a terrible job of, and doesn't have that defensive capability as a back, he's then getting pulled in all sorts of areas. So you have people in front of you that aren't there because McTominay's trying to do a job, but he's getting everywhere. Fred's doing whatever the hell Fred wants to do. The back's so far up the pitch that can't recover in time. So Maguire has players all over that he's trying to defend and figure out where, if there was a bit more, to your guys' point, if there was a bit more structure and positionally sound players that did their jobs the way that Ralph has set them out to do, he's not getting picked clean like that as much.
Can I just say that's the other good thing? Fred plays for Ralph. These are just names I love.
Yes, very, very true.
I just love
but it
I mean, I get your point.
It was a lot of stick.
I get your point.
At that point.
I get your point, but I still don't agree that he's some great stand-up defender.
I never said
he's got for wheels, he's got for vision, and occasionally a squirrel finds a nut.
But
in the wrong net.
Albanians.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Will. So, should we move on? I'll try to
Probably
keep us on track this go round, because we could probably trail on this one for a long time. Regardless, it's good you got Cristiano Ronaldo, who put on a clinic.
The last time he scored a hat trick, he was in this kit.
He's not as good as he once was, but he's good at once as he ever was.
At 37 years old. I'm 37, and you want to see me after a game playing, co-ed men's league with, everybody over the age of, whatever. I look like I just got shot in the calf. So when I come home, I'm hobbling over the place. I have to ice myself.
But you can't compare. He's been playing it his entire life. You've been playing it for, 3 years. But you can't compare.
At 37, that's impressive. Moving on.
So this one gets sticky. What a week for Chelsea Football Club. On Thursday, I know, the Blues have the blues. On Thursday this past week, the UK government sanctioned Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich for his ties and business dealings with Vladimir Putin. These sanctions are having a subsequent ripple effect on the club as a whole. While Chelsea can still play matches and complete their remaining fixtures, their cash assets are essentially frozen. In short terms, that means no new ticket sales. All merchandise outlets must stop. No new signings or contracts, and payroll for all the club could be at risk due to these sanctions. Now, I do want to give an update on that, Ferris, because that's
there's been a lot of
there's been some updates. So on some of the clarifications, so we know, they can continue to play games. Yes, that's one they can do. Can they sell tickets? Supporters can't buy any new tickets to watch Chelsea. Season ticket holders will still be able to attend games, but no new tickets sold. Boy, Ron, is it good we didn't go to see a Chelsea match for your bachelor party? Wouldn't be able to get a ticket.
Yep.
Tickets due to go on sale for the FA Cup quarterfinal tie at Middlesbrough March 19th. But a post on the website said that they could no longer make those sales. They thought they could. They're unable to sell merchandise, as you said. Club shop at Stamford Bridge closed as of Thursday morning. Can they sell tickets, season tickets? It says anyone who purchased season tickets before the 10th of March and make payments installments can, but they're not mentioning anything else. There were a few other updates. Wages and in the short and midterm for staff wages and players may continue to pay employees, including players and staff. And that's in place until the 31st of May. So basically, at the end of the season, they're not going to screw over anybody working for the club. They can get their pay. So that's where we are. It does make your managers a little uncertain. Was it today that news dropped about the Saudi media group?
Yep.
It has put in a $2.7 billion, do I remember that correctly, bid to purchase. What a mess. I mean, so I sent Ron and Ferris a Arsene Wenger quote from within the last couple of days where he had talked about when Abramovich bought Chelsea back then, he didn't like it. He thought it was messing up football because it pumped in so much money that it was going to screw up the way the Premier League worked, and all the wages would get inflated. And I mean, it happened. Now, if it hadn't been him, it probably would have been, the folks that came in and bought Man City. It would have happened at some point, but he's not wrong that overall, like it definitely shakes things up. He
was just jealous.
In a time that we keep saying the phrase unprecedented since the bout of Corona that first came out, we're still in unprecedented times. Who knows what this means? But actually, in a way, this isn't completely unprecedented because was it 3 years ago he wasn't allowed to come into the United Kingdom because of some sanctions?
And was staying on his yacht or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean,
but that was for tax purposes. That wasn't.
It was, but he'd been a shady dude. It's like for a bit.
He got his millions by going to all the big Russian stockpiles of weapons and explosives when the communist Russia fell, and he sold them throughout the entire world. So that's how he got his millions.
And a lot of people,
he was shady then.
A lot of people refer to him as, and not just him, I should say, but other folks in this situation as sports laundering, where they use the. It just doesn't mean anything. He's got all this money. Owning his club means nothing. But it is a way to kind of launder some money and ill-gotten gains potentially. So this is a wild thing. So it happens. The Saudi media group comes in. Now they're not attached to anyone politically directly, but
yes, they are.
I know it's like, yeah, but
how can they own two clubs in the Premier League?
How can they? That's not the same one you're talking about.
You're telling me that group's not the same one connected to anything that Newcastle. Come on.
No. It's not. Hold on. I was crap. I should have had this pulled up. I was looking at this earlier today. It's
back alley.
It's not the same.
And they're all.
Yeah. It's not the same group that bought Newcastle. It is a different group. It is a different, to be fair, it is a different group led by a different person. I don't want to just lump everybody together. But what happens when your English Premier League is if three of Newcastle's going to become one of the biggest clubs, is owned by some kind of Saudi group, no different than if five Russians bought five of the clubs. I don't know. It starts to get weird, and I don't know how folks feel about that and how that's going to go down, but it is definitely a weird and interesting time right now.
Yeah, I think so. There's a few things on the horizon. This coming Monday, the European Union will be sanctioning Roman Abramovich as well.
The EU, in other words.
Yeah, and there is possibilities that Chelsea will not be allowed to travel or not be welcome in parts of the European Union. Wow. So there's a lot at stake because of this.
I would say something. They right now are capped on their traveling wages. They're only allowed 220. What is it? However, travel costs for away games have been capped at £20,000 per match.
Yeah.
which is not a lot when you think about what they, Jets
Right.
and this, that, and the other that they probably normally do.
Well, did you hear Tuchel's press conference after the or before the match this week? They were asking him about those. How's the team going to travel? And he said, "Well, as far as I know, we're going to take a plane, and if not a plane, then we'll take the train. And if we can't take the train, we'll take a bus. And if we can't take the bus, then I'm going to drive a 15-seater van."
So, man,
Right?
I didn't realize how tight things were, though, dude. Yesterday's news at noon on March 13th, Chelsea handed $110 million cash lifeline by the government of previously frozen assets so they don't go into administration. That's crazy.
Because there's so much on, and who knows how close or far the numbers that are being reported are. But, despite winning the Champions League last season, Chelsea made a $272 million loss in the year to January 30th of 2021. That was due to a $550 million wage bill even before the club signed Romelu Lukaku. So it's not like, it's not balancing the books isn't as easy as, what your job may entail or my job may entail. You're dealing with large sums of monies for all sorts of athletes, coaches, backroom staff, trainers, those that book their travel, those that book their accommodations, those that make sure that they have passports to get into, there's a lot of balancing the books here. And, a vast majority of that is the players that they have to pay. And that eats up a very, very large sum of the wage bill. And also something that most people kind of take for granted of, or it's become such a forgettable thing almost in world football now, is the shirt sponsor, right? It will change every other year, or it'll be Chevrolet forever, or Fly Emirates, or whatever it is. Well, and I don't think any of us know exactly what 3 does.
Cell phone company.
There we go.
Hyundai's bailing too.
Say what?
Hyundai's bailing.
Yep. That their main sponsorship deal with 3 basically announced they are suspending its deal. And that means that 3's logo will be removed from the shirts and around the stadium until further notice. So they're going to look like Roma in the Italian league, just almost never plays with the front shirt sponsor. It's just going to be a nice blue
checkerboard.
Can we just talk about the former Chelsea owner Ken Bates' quote at the end saying, he gave a bunch of quotes, but his last one, where is it here? There, because they're talking about going to sell to Americans. Oh, he goes, "I don't feel sympathy for him," he said. "Why should I? He's worth 7 to 8 billion, but he can only eat steak and chips twice a day, same as me. When he goes to his grave, his shroud won't have any pockets in it." Oh,
damn. Got him.
There are 3 American-led consortiums interested in buying the club, Ron. Now, I've heard Stan Kroenke is getting in on one of those. Wants to get rid of Arsenal and get Chelsea. So, hey, buddy.
You're just trying to you're just trying to deflect your misery on us. We've got enough. We don't need yours. So there's a rush to sell the company, and the largely the government and the board are now in control of that sale. And the Rain Group, which is the U.S. bank tasked with handling the sale, gave potential bidders until Friday. So that's, it's Monday today. So Friday, over 200 offers have to be given in by Friday for the for consideration. And each one of those, now that it's a government-led deal, this sale is going to take a bit for 200 offers. So there's interest from, as Blake kind of said, Woody Johnson, who's the New
I
York
want-
Jets owner.
I need the name Woody Johnson to own Chelsea after this.
Just
Give us the big Woody Johnson, please.
yes,
We
Chelsea
need
Football
that.
Club.
And your first signing has to be who, Chris?
Chris Wood.
Chris Wood. That's absolutely
yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
absolutely
Chelsea
right.
Football Club are proud to announce Woody Johnson as their new owner. God, the trouble in that stadium. That guy, that guy's name is, he's made a hell of a
Now,
lot
Ron,
more.
who's the other group? Is it Tallywacker Thompson? Is the
It's Benjamin Stiffington.
Schlong Hardenwall?
bend over?
Jeez. So there's also British property tycoon Nick Candy, another good
Oh
name.
my God!
Hey.
Yes,
Nick Candy to the dance floor. Nick Candy
this
to the
is
dance
great.
floor.
Nick Candy, please answer the white courtesy phone. Let's see, who else is there? The Saudis, as Blake was mentioning earlier, is a company headed by Mohammed Al-Kahiri, allegedly different than the other Saudi groups.
Yeah, that
How
one's
many
like,
Albanians are never connected with a club?
Because they only like attacking players.
That's true. And Liam Neeson. Don't forget that.
Yep. So
PCP Capital Partners is from Saudi Arabia, a public investment from Saudi Arabia, who took over Newcastle. Saudi Media Group, led by the gentleman you just mentioned, is the one for Chelsea right now.
I'm not hearing the difference.
well, I think, it's kind of like movie companies do, right? They set up a company to do a movie, and then as soon as the movie's done, they fold it so that, if Sony Pictures is putting up the money for something that's, some crazy big stunt spectacular, they're going to start another company. That company is going to film it. So if there's any liability issues, they sue that production company and not Sony, right? And then once it's done, it all goes away. The same thing is happening, right? It's a legal, shady way to do things.
The big difference with at least the appearance is that the Saudi Public Investment Fund that has Newcastle, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is the chairman and has the 80% stake of the club's owning consortium. The other one, the Saudi Media Group, has no direct, as in someone's one of the crown princes. Do you know what I mean? That's a part of the group. Now,
yeah.
But as you said, behind the scenes, how do you know? Because behind the scenes, not behind the scenes, Roman Abramovich had been hanging out with Putin a lot, so that wasn't really much of a shock.
Yeah.
Despite all of that, Chelsea beat. Who did they beat? Newcastle. Speaking of Devils,
1-0 in the squeaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the Saudi derby next year.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I think so far, with all of the news and the craziness, the players have been able to kind of keep their attention on the football. But I think as this process drags on and the closer you get to the end of the year, the more unsure the players are going to be about their jobs for next year. Other people are leaving or have the ability to leave because their contracts are up. And because of this, Chelsea cannot renegotiate contracts. So all these players that are up at the end of the season are likely going to go. So where Chelsea's under attack inadvertently.
Ferris, there's your lifeline. Thomas Tuchel to Man United.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point, but will he even be allowed to go with the way that Chelsea are? They might not even allow him to go.
Well, no, they don't have a choice. His contract.
Players in and out.
No. It's not about players in and out. It's when they get to the end of this season. If they haven't fixed this, everyone's contracts are done.
Not everybody's.
No. All the people whose contracts are up cannot be renegotiated. So they essentially
Rudiger and Christensen.
Christensen, they'll all, and there's a few coaches.
I don't think Tuchel's one of those. I thought he got an extension when he won the Champions League.
I don't think so. But they can't. They'll just go on a free. So it's gonna be. It's gonna be nuts.
If you go into administration, you lose 9 points. Hello, third place for Arsenal. Baby,
fat chance.
Yeah, it's.
We'll see. Like we get to the end of the season. If Blake and Ferris get to enjoy being in the Champions League because of a 9-point drop.
Yeah,
God, that's wild.
On one hand, I completely understand why this has to be done. It's just hard to watch the players take the brunt of it, and they get questioned. The thing I feel most bad about is these guys are being questioned by the British government and by the British press and other press around the world, and it's stuff that's not even close to their control, right? So Tuchel is going out of his mind. He keeps saying, like, stop asking me about any of this. I'm not a politician. I don't know what's happening. And we react to things as we hear them and we learn about them. And we try to keep playing football.
I think this should be where this should be a good lesson for the FA. Because they go through and they approve some of these takeovers and stuff. They should think about this. Because okay, so someone wants to throw in a bunch of money, but what are they attached to that come around and bite us all in the ass later? I don't know if they'll, it's just the same way that Eddie Howe's being asked about 81 people being executed in Saudi Arabia this past week. And he's like, I'm just going to talk about football. But, when the Crown Prince owns a good chunk of the team, that conversation's going to come up. So the
crappy thing is, and in this media age of ours globally, about sensationalizing headlines and 24-hour news cycle, it's quite obvious that Eddie Howe knows nothing about the fact that 81 people died in Saudi Arabia. Why the are you asking him?
Well, because it got you the news article. But also, I do think it's less about they can't get the FA to answer questions from them, but they can do that and put the FA on notice. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know what you're saying is not necessarily fair to Eddie Howe, but it's kind of their way because they can't talk to those people. We'll do it right here then. If you're not going to address these things and you're like, as long as we got money, we don't care. Well, look what's happening right now. So... And now they got something to look at. And that's only probably going to get worse. The more money that's in these clubs and being thrown around for these clubs, the worse that's going to get.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but like when you start having that much money and you're not like, what do? Did you found a company or create something? No. What'd you do? Nothing. Sold some things when the Soviet Union collapsed. What kind of things? Evil Tony Stark over here slinging goods.
Right.
I mean, like, So it's just.
I forgot that's what he did. Stark, it is.
So
it's just it's politicizing the sport, and look, I think in all honesty, that's probably for the better long term. It's just hard to watch the players who are guilty of nothing other than playing a sport they like.
And I guess if I was a reporter, I would argue you're right. It is politicized in the sport, which is exactly what they did when they approved these takeovers. Chicken and egg.
I don't know that that's necessarily true, but
they knew what Abramovich's past was, and they checked off on, him purchasing the club.
Well, so, okay, I get your point. However, it's not like they knew it. That's relatively recent news that's how he made his fortune. It's not like in the headlines, they're like, oh, look, he did this. Oh, yeah, since he's a Russian arms dealer, we'll allow the sale.
Allegedly.
But the fact of the matter is, the FA will never be able to get out of these types of situations because they cannot dig through someone's past deep enough to find out if there's, skeletons in the closet, right? Look at the president, right? That guy gets vetted 6 ways from Sunday and gets elected, and then we find out he's got an illegitimate child, right? So you're never going to escape what people have done in their past. And I'm not saying that to make it right. I'm just saying it sucks because the people who are Abramovich, this is a blank in his pocket. He doesn't give a rat's ass.
It literally almost means nothing. It's kind of gross.
It's really just sad to watch the people who love the club and work for the club have to deal with this onslaught. That's what I think is the sad part.
Wait, what is that I hear from the bridge? Woody Johnson. Woody Johnson.
Hey,
my vote.
It might be Tilma Fertitta because he's the owner of the Houston Rockets.
Hey, listen. He's going to bring James Harden to play center forward of Chelsea football team.
Hey, he couldn't do worse than Lukaku.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Not wrong.
But, to be honest, despite all this, Chelsea are pushing forward. They're finding ways to win. And I'm going to be really interested to see what the team looks like in the beginning of the next season.
You guys are going to kill it in the championship.
If Wayne Rooney's Derby County can do it with 9 points deducted, so can you.
Yep.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
actually doing quite well, which we can go on a whole nother. Anyway.
Yeah. And I guess all those things, are alleged. Now that we've mentioned these things and our pod goes live, I'm pretty sure we'll be banned from playing in Russia. I don't think we had many listens from there anyway.
Yeah.
And my heart's broken.
It'll mend, don't worry.
Look, here's the gross thing. There's too much money to be made in Premier League football. The FA Cup the FA will make sure, in England will make sure something happens. It ain't going to be with Abramovich, but something happens.
Yeah. And hopefully they can do something well. They can do something good, and they can do it relatively quickly.
I think they just need to get lubed up and ready for Woody Johnson.
Lubed up for Woody. You know what the weirdest thing in this whole thing is? The fans that are in the stadium. Well, there's two things. One, the Newcastle chant about Mike Ashley was hysterical, right? So Newcastle fans were chanting to the Chelsea supporters, you're going to be, here comes Mike Ashley, who is the guy who sold Newcastle to the Saudis.
And they hated that guy. They hated him.
So that was kind of funny. But the weird thing is all the Chelsea supporters that are chanting and kind of holding up the name of Roman Abramovich in the stadium. They're like chanting his name. And
I mean, think about it this way. What he's done for the club, though, in terms of an influx of cash, the amount of titles, Champions Leagues.
Yeah.
He hasn't been a bad owner for that club.
No, he certainly hasn't.
And I think that's more where the chants are coming from. Obviously, nobody, unless you're
the naive ones have been
or whatnot.
Look, if he was in trouble for evading taxes, I understand the chant. But he is allegedly in league with a guy who's invading another country and doing all this really shady shit. His name is not to be chanted.
No, I agree. I think it's you can understand where it comes from in a way, but not the time nor place to be doing that.
Yeah, someone said, so my friend goes and beats up someone, I get arrested for it. I was like, buddy, that is so far. That's a super logical. What's that called? The logic fallacy argument. That's such a dumb analogy.
It's called bullshit. That's what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah. That's That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Wow, that was a good one. All right. Well, all right. Moving on to the next topic. From United to Chelsea. Does it get easier? Yeah, it does. This next one's a happy one. Jesse, they called me Ted Lasso Marsh gets his first win with Leeds. Ex-RB Leipzig and American manager Jesse March got his first win for Leeds United on the weekend following a 94th minute goal, which saw them earn a big 3 points against relegation battler Norwich City. Since March's arrival at Ellen Road on February 28th and following the departure of Marcelo, what's the last name? Bielsa. Thank you there, Ferris. He has lost his first two with a goal difference of -3, scoring 2 and letting in 5. Leeds are currently sitting in 16th on 26 points, 4 points off the relegation zone. Can the Tad Lasso of the Premier League keep them up?
I think they're just 3 worse teams than Leeds.
Yeah, I think
he's going to stay up
by the hairs on.
There might even be 4 worse.
March's nicely shaved.
There might even be 4 worse teams, Ferris.
Now, here's the thing. I think all Americans are hoping that they stay up. Even me as a United fan that would love to see Leeds go down. If Jesse March does not keep them up, there will never be an American coach again in England.
That's probably not very fair, but it's true. It's a true.
You know, I mean, it's the Ted Lasso is being thrown into it because it's a popular show, and it was on the back of a skit where an American football, pigskin coach went over and taught soccer, and obviously the show. How they made a show out of it, and for the show to be as big as it is, both here and over in England, is absolutely incredible. But nonetheless, that's when most minds who have seen that show now think of an American soccer coach over in England, they throw that out. I mean, so a bit unfair to Marsh, who has done well in Europe as a whole. He basically brought RB Leipzig up from the bottom tiers and got them into contention for the league and Champions League, spots. So he's a damn good coach. And to get that win yesterday, you saw what it meant to him, to the Ellen Road supporters, and to that club as a whole. And you do root for that. And that story to be a success.
Yeah, I agree. It was actually a pretty entertaining game for most of it. So to have that scored in the breath of stoppage time on a kind of a breakaway counter, really well executed, very unselfish. It was just a class way to win that game. And I thought it was good. I thought it was good that he's winning. I think, Ferris, you're largely right. It's not necessarily that he's going to make them better. I just do think there's 3 to 4 worse teams than Leeds right now.
Well, does that lead us to 4? Because we were dancing around it. Our 4th headline was Everton. Wolf.
That's why I did it.
Speaking of relegation, Everton Football Club currently find themselves safe in 17th, but are tied on points. Why can't I say that? Relegation zone. Although you definitely spelled it regulation zone. Relegation zone club Watford. Yes, Watford still have 3 games in hand, but after losing the past 4 matches in the league on the bounce, can Frank Lampard keep the Toffees up? And here's the thing. Like I said, 3 games in hand. So I would argue. To perspective, if you're listening to this pod right now,
no wonder.
Leeds has got has played 29 matches. They've got 26 points. Everton in 17th has played 26 matches. They have 22 points. Below them in 18th is Watford. It's 29 matches, 22 points, tied. Burnley 27 matches, 21 points. Norwich 29 points, 17 points. Norwich screwed. Burnley could win 2 and get out of the bottom 3.
They also have the lowest goal difference.
They do.
Out of the last 6 teams.
Actually, from Everton, Watford, Burnley, and Norwich, Burnley, even though they're 19th, stand the best shot of eking out enough draws to survive. Everton is woeful. And
They went 4 games without scoring.
I feel bad for Frankie Lampard. I feel this is a bit of an Ole situation. I don't think that this is him.
I don't think he's that good of a coach.
No, I'm not saying he's as good as Ole. I don't think this is him. That team is a mess right now.
Oh yeah, I mean they got 2 midfielders in this,
and it's not his team. Let's be honest. He's come into this
transfer window.
You know, it's not like he's been there for a couple of years or something,
right? But he was a part of bringing those 2 midfielders in when they need to bring in 2 center backs, not midfielders.
Yeah,
the defense is shambolic at best. It's hard to say that you have a defense worse than Man United's at the moment, but they do. It's there, believe me. And you're seeing what that toll takes. A minute a goal goes in, or a minute they're behind, their confidence level drops, right? And they didn't play bad yesterday. They hit the post a few times. They had some chances. They only lost 1-0, if I'm not mistaken. And
yeah,
they were playing Wolves, up there in 7th. So I just don't. Here's where I think Jesse March is a better manager coach than Frank Lampard. So therefore, I think that's the X factor through the last 10 games of the season that keeps Leeds up.
So what is Everton's Premier League schedule
from for the next 10 games?
Yeah, like
they play.
How tough's their road?
This is a relegation 6-pointer right here on St. Paddy's Day. Everton and Newcastle.
Steve,
they're going to lose that one.
I put Newcastle as a favorite on that. Easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they play in the FA Cup after that against Palace. But then their April looks like they have West Ham. They have Manchester United. They
win that one.
The Merseyside Derby. Yeah, 100%. They have they play essentially everybody in the top 6. They play West Ham, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, all in April.
Oh.
Then listen to this here, Blake. They play Leicester, Brentford. That could be a huge, huge game depending on where Brentford are at. But then their last game of the year, they play Arsenal.
Oh, baby.
Wow. One could be trying to keep from going down, and one could be fighting for that top 4 spot.
That'd be a hell of a game. Oh, my God. If that's what was at stake.
That could be a hell of a game.
Ooh, man.
And Arteta's played for both.
Oh, my gosh. You're right. Yeah. That would be wild.
That's going to be interesting.
That's at. I don't know where exactly that's at. Let's look.
I think the thing that I kind of think is kind of overwhelmingly worrying is that at the final whistle, there was no shade thrown. There was no, the fans have all but given up.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
They're
Fight's
so
over,
indifferent that
it's a dangerous spot to be.
Because normally you get what is it called? The Goodison bump, right? Where, that's such a crazy place to go play. And it was like church let out.
Yeah, it was like the air just went out of the balloon, they really didn't play bad. Like I said, they hit the post a few times. They defended better than they have. They looked threatening through more patches of the game than they have been in the past, and they're getting to a point now, and it's more dangerous for them than it was is a United fan, where you just become numb.
Yeah.
Right. When Ole was sacked and we're losing, we're drawing all of these, it's just you become numb. You're like, at this point, who the hell cares if we win or lose? And I just want to see the lads on the field actually give a shit about the badge and just play as hard as they can. Like, you kind of just
Yeah.
Not for a pun on words, but you relegate yourself down to that and just like, hey, listen, just go out there and just don't get embarrassed.
Yeah, I think you're just
right
seeing the years of fans feeling like no one really cares if the team wins, and a lot of crazy decisions over the past couple of years. So, like you said, they're all just numb. Like, okay, great, we lost again. It almost doesn't matter that they played relatively well because the result doesn't show it.
Correct.
Craziness.
It ain't a good place to be in. Shall we move on quickly to get us back on time into our beer news, or do you anything else to cover on the Premier League before overfares?
I'll just go down the table real quick. A title race is on. Man City drew with Crystal Palace today, 0-0. But they're still in first on 70 points. Liverpool in second, 4 points behind them. Then about 7 points behind them are Chelsea. You have Arsenal currently in fourth, Man United in fifth, Chelsea, West Ham in sixth, Wolves in seventh. Tottenham Hotspur moved all the way down to eighth with that, but they're all tied within a game or two, and there's games in hands there, and there are all sorts of points. So that battle for the top four will continue on for the last 10 games. And then probably out of that battle is Villa sitting in ninth, Southampton in 10th, Palace in 11th, Leicester City still just there.
Turds, though, but
sitting
just turding it up.
Yep. Brighton moved all the way down to 13th now. Newcastle all the way up to 14th now. They are really starting to get themselves away from the bad zone. And what a job Eddie Howe is doing so far there at Newcastle. Brentford Bees with Christian Eriksen are in 15th. Leeds United, as we were just talking about, in 16th. Everton 17th. Watford 18th. Burnley 19th. And Norwich round out the bottom of the table.
They gone.
Yeah.
To quote Ferris.
I mean, how many games till they're mathematically out?
It's not many.
Minus 45.
Right. All right. So to keep us on track, we're not doing official Ron's beer news today. We're just going to go over real quick some of the places we went to in Chicago. I know you guys mentioned Revolutionary Brewery is a joint you guys hit up.
Yeah, really cool spot. Good beer, good food. Awesome bar. We actually kind of like walked right by it on the street at first. Came back, but they were really good IPAs. They had the glass that I have that I poured into is a Little Crazy Belgium style pale ale, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Another brewery that we went, and by far, I think my favorite name of any brewery so far ever was a brewery kind of in a touristy spot of Chicago, downtown Chicago, called Crushed by Giants.
I kept calling it They Might Be Giants when I was trying to tell somebody about it today. Like, that's a band.
I think that probably is our collective favorite brewery.
It was really good, and it was a brewery that they only had 6 beers. Now, I'd have to look it up, see if they rotate out or whatever, but we had all 6 beers, and they were all good. They were quite good.
And the one that
and the food was good too.
We spent the most time there. I think we spent almost 6 hours at that one. Just kind of sitting around BSing with the guys.
Trickling in too. So every time we're like going to leave, well, I'll just meet us here. No, that was a great time.
I think the weirdest one that we visited was the Pilot Project.
Different. As our friend Scott said, it looked like.
Wait, was I at that one?
No, you weren't there.
Okay,
that was the day before.
I'm looking it up right now. I want to see this place. Okay,
it is if what's the store in the mall?
American Eagle?
No, what the hell did he say? Urban Outfitters. If you Urban Outfitters.
I did hear that description. I love it.
It looked like that. Very interesting concept, and you might see this going the way where there was no face-to-face service. There was. You scanned, like most, you scan and you see the beer options, then your server comes by and what's the, blah, blah, blah. But this was you scanned and you placed your order for whatever beer you wanted on this essentially site or link. And then it would go to the bar somewhere and then or he or she would bring by the beer. But yeah, interesting place. Definitely.
Did you guys look up how they operate?
In terms of
Okay, so the pilot project, I'm pulling it now. Pilot Project Brewing is a brewery incubator, tasting room, and cafe located on Milwaukee Avenue, Logan Square in Chicago. Pilot Project was launched as a collaborative, artistically curious space to help support talented brewers in an industry with exceptionally high barriers. Modeled after the music industry, Pilot serves as a launch pad for startup breweries, offering assistance with fine-tuning recipes, production, business development, marketing, distribution, and more. So they are an incubator for breweries. They are not necessarily a brewery in and of themselves. That's so cool.
They did have a Spanish lager that was theirs, though, I think.
The weirdest thing about it, right, the ordering didn't bother me any because that's how you order largely all your beers in China.
At wine bars I've been to, in weirdly enough, in Fredericksburg, Virginia, did that. Like, get the pours kind of a thing.
But the thing that was weird to me was that it could have been, it lacked any real brewing personality.
Do you think that's because they're trying to keep a blank slate because they don't want you to identify their place with the brewery because it's not their brewery? You know what I'm saying?
So maybe, but like you go to the brewery because you want to have good beer, you want to hang out with friends, there's an atmosphere, and you get to try, crazy beers. This was the inside of it, and this sounds really bad, but it was every yuppie coffee shop.
Yeah.
And there
was
more
MacBook
people,
Central.
Yeah, there were more people in there working and not drinking, like in a coffee shop, than there were people trying beer.
100%. There was like 10.
It just lacked any sort of identity. And I get the idea that they're trying to let people taste different breweries' beers and
so that you don't identify the beer with their place necessarily.
But here's the ultimate thing. When you went in there was no one to tell you about it. There was no way to read about it. Like
you didn't know this. If I had to look it up.
Yeah, but if I were the guy that owned that, I would have that listed out on every table. Hey, we're a pilot brewing project. We have these breweries' beers. Like, we're trying to help these. None of that was anywhere on the inside of that place.
Man, they offer brewing, collabs, marketing. Interested in brewing.
But you wouldn't know that by going in there.
No, you would not. Like, we obviously had no clue. But
we walked in there and thought it was a coffee shop.
You want to brew with us? They got an application. I mean, if I lived near this, I would be about trying this, though.
It all seemed very disconnected. Now,
here you go. For launching new companies, Pilot Project holds auditions twice per year. You're prepared to audition by presenting your concept.
This could be the Brewtiful Game
supported business plan. I know you got to stop talking trash about it because maybe this is how we launched the Brewtiful.
No,
Brewery.
I'm not talking trash about it. I'm not saying it sucks. I'm just saying that if I were running that thing, I would promote it. The second you walked in the door, you would know what the point of the Pilot Brewing project is about.
It's also
we were there for 2 hours and had no idea.
Right. Like to Ron's point, what you go to a brewery for is that there's that human interaction, that taste of a town, that vibe of the town, the culture of the town. This looked like you walked into a bougier Starbucks to get a nice flannel shirt that was made by whoever, and then a nice beanie, and sit there on your MacBook and try to design art. It was just different. It was nothing. It was nothing bad. And to be fair to them, it seemed very disassociated with. Hold on, let me back that up a little bit. It seemed very disassociated with human interaction. Right? And that's what you kind of go for at a brewery. You want to talk to the brewmaster or the person behind the bar or your fellow friends you're going with or whoever. This was all scan, dropped it off, you paid through the app, you did everything through just scanning.
It was very sterile.
Very, very sterile. So now who's to say, in fairness to them, that wasn't something they put in place because of COVID?
Oh, yeah. And don't forget, when we got there, they had literally just dropped a ton of their restrictions.
It's very possible that was COVID protocols that they put in place and went, oh, this is actually not a bad way of doing it, so why don't we keep doing it? So that could be the case. And like I said, we're not dishing on them like we do butternuts. We've never been to.
What? We've never said about butternuts. I don't know what you're talking about. That's a fine, upstanding establishment with greasy beer.
But it was just different than any, like if, so I currently have my main job, I work from home, right? I have a lovely MacBook that was sent to me that I work from. That would be a great establishment to sit there and work for 4 hours of the day. And it's quiet. You're not bothered. You could sit there on a bench or a couch or a stool and connect to internet, have a beer or two. You never really have to talk to anybody. The beer drops off and you can sit there and just do work, right? But it was a different vibe to what we were just at the brewery that we walked down the street from, which was very friendly, very welcome to Chicago. Food, beer, people.
Well, I think the interesting thing would be people serving you aren't necessarily. I guess it's curious. I wish I had gone because like the events they've got look awesome, but it's not like it's like, hey, this is my beer. That's not what you'd be experiencing. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting setup. I wish I had tried this place.
The Crush by Giants though was a hell of a lot of fun, and I liked the artwork that they had. The artwork on the pint glasses.
Yeah.
And the artwork was very, as we were talking, very like where the wild things are.
Where did we go? Was Half Acre the second night?
We tried to. Remember, we tried to.
We did go.
We went.
We did. That wasn't the one right after.
No, we went to the wrong place first, and then went to Half Acre right after.
Right, but we went to the wrong place. It happened to also be a brewery
within
and sat there and
50 yards from Half Acre. So we said, "Well, this isn't Half Acre. Well, we're here. Let's get a beer." And we picked one, and it ended up being a 9 or 10% alcohol beer.
Yeah, you ordered some dark. It was fantastic, actually.
Yeah,
was it a porter?
Yeah, and we all just got that as a round, and then we got to Half Acre.
We never had a picture of it because I would have loved to untap them. Splitsville? No, what was it called? Spitfire.
I don't know because I was already had a lot by that time of the day, and then
we had kept going.
And then we went and got great gin at a speakeasy. We had
to drive to Half Acre first, right? Or was that the one right around the corner?
It was Spiteful Brewing.
Spiteful Brewing.
That was the Spiteful Brewing. Yeah, we got out of the car and said, "Oh, there's the brewery." Oh no, the brewery is actually 50 yards this way, but this is a different one. And then we went to a Scofflaw where they make their own gin. It was delicious for dinner. But then
that place was so good.
Then none of y'all who ever listen or interact that live in Chicago ever warned us about this, and I hold you responsible.
I've heard from two people now. Two people that I've talked to since being back in Orlando have said, "Oh, did you try
Malort?" Our friend Eric in Chicago was like, "You guys got to have a Chicago handshake. You got to have this Malort." And we're like, "What's Malort?" And it is a liquor specific to Chicago. Now, I'll let you know. It is a thing that exists in Chicago because they got, when the dude that invented it or made it in the 1800s, we discovered, he smoked cigars so much he couldn't taste anything, but he could actually taste that, so he liked it. It wasn't great and would have died, but when Prohibition happened, they managed to relabel it medicinal, so people would get it to get. That is some of the most foul liquor I have ever had in my life.
If you burnt gasoline, pissed on it, and then put that into a shot glass, that's what you had.
Now,
you got to ferment it in gym socks first.
Yeah.
Oh, no, correct. Absolutely.
I mean, it was all those. Ferris and I, we had bounced to a lot of places, had a lot of booze, a lot of beers. We were feeling good. We had that Malort, and our nights turned at that moment.
We tipped real quickly.
I can look back at that moment. We went to an Irish bar afterwards. We had another beer or two, but the night.
That's just still burned in my stomach all night.
I feel like that was a week ago, and my stomach is still recovering from that Malort.
Point. But in fairness, at the Irish bar, Blake, myself, and our friend Scott created a fantastic backstory on this party that was in front of us at the bar that you can make into our next Brewtiful Game series. It was the backstory that we provided and that we gave to these 3 people we've never met in our life.
Oh yeah,
We watched so intricate and so amazing.
We watched 3 dudes try to get along with 3 ladies, and we wrote the story. We were standing near them, and it was loud there. We sort of did a director's commentary about what was actually happening the whole time. It was probably not as funny as if I knew what we said, but at the time, it was pretty funny to us.
I still shudder when I taste that Malort, and I've had Baijiu.
But what helped save it was we had everybody's heard of steak fries, right?
Oh, those were so good.
They actually.
That's right. Like the flank steak with like gravy
on top of the fries.
It was like a gourmet poutine almost. Like, yeah, that was really good. That was a good trip.
And then the gin was friggin' phenomenal.
Oh, the mixed drinks were like top shelf. As
craft gin.
Described much as Arsenal's playing this past game. Top shelf.
Scofflaw. Yeah. SCOFFLAW. Look them up if you're in the Chicago area. Make a reservation because they fill up.
Yes, they do. Nice fire places in there, duels. And then the last brewery we went to, the Fado Irish.
Great place. Great Irish breakfast. We watched the Manchester Derby there. We watched Chelsea play.
Chelsea matched it before. We went back to it 2 days in a row. It was that good.
Great food. Oh my gosh. And great bartenders, great service. Just that was a great place. That was awesome.
Yeah, Chicago, great town, good fun, mediocre soccer as Orlando kind of played.
And like any good city,
mostly like
yeah. But like any good city, we got a hotel that we were kind of walking distance ish from the stadium for the match day, and we just walked or subway to everywhere, and it was a blast. So had a great weekend.
Yeah.
Good weekend.
Good time.
As I had first been in snow in Canada, this is the first time that I've been on a subway.
Yes, Ferris called it the tube the first time he got on it.
The tube.
It was very
funny.
He first time on a subway without
yeah,
a gasoline tanker coming down, another train coming at you.
Yeah, the only subway you'd been in was at Universal Studios.
The earthquake ride was awesome back in the day, by the way.
It was. Because didn't it have Christopher Walken? Or was that
that was Disaster.
That was Disaster.
I was there trying to remake it, and let's try to spice up and just put it on there. Yeah.
Because nothing says spicy like Christopher Walken.
You're damn right.
Just look at the live version of the Peter Pan musical. You didn't know we talk about theater on this here show, but sometimes we do. All right, Fair, should we move on to La Liga's roundup real quick to bring us on home?
Sure, I'm going to have
you cracking a celebration?
Doing a Sierra Nevada celebration fresh IPA.
Whenever those pop up, that's when it finally feels like Christmas to me.
I had somebody, I was playing cards with some guys a few weeks back, and he's like, there's some beer in the fridge that I'm not going to drink. And he hands me 4, and they were all of this. And I was like, I will gladly take those off.
Hard to find this year.
Mm-hmm.
In the whole supply chain thing. I did not see many of those.
So, the La Liga's roundup returns. Would you look at that? Barcelona are now up to 3rd in La Liga, currently tied on points with Atletico Madrid. And Xavi has gotten his squad to only 5 points off of 2nd, which Sevilla currently occupy. And they are 15 points away from league leaders Real Madrid. Now, while it might be a little too late to catch their bitter rivals at this stage of the competition, Xavi, along with Arsenal captain, because they're still paying for his salary, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, are currently on an 11-match unbeaten streak in the league. That's a pretty big change from what was happening there under Koeman, and Xavi is doing quite a good job. He not only taken over a squad and kind of imprint himself onto that squad, because Xavi was a phenomenal player, very cerebral, industrious, just very, very smart player, and his squad is certainly playing that way a hell of a lot more. And they've just played more fluently up front, and they've locked down the back a bit more than what they were doing prior. They're going to hope that, Real is going to pay more attention to the Champions League, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But they're also going to have to keep an eye, from Madrid's standpoint, keep an eye on the rear view, as who knows what can happen, and maybe Barca catch up to them. But I would not be surprised if it finishes Real Madrid in first and Barca in second.
You drink that beer. You earned it. That was it was so great. You read the last of that content. You're like, well done.
Would you look at that? Bayern Munich are still in first place of the German Bundesliga, with Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Leverkusen, and RB Leipzig following suit and behind in that order. The 7-point lead after 26 games played thus far. It's a little too early to call the league over quite yet, but Dortmund still have a game in hand. So assuming they win that, they're 4 points off the top. So they'll be hoping that Bayern turn their attention more towards the quarterfinals of the Champions League, as they went into their second leg with RB Leipzig tied 1-1, and then blasted them it was a 6-1 on the return leg. So they have moved on, and the Bundesliga still a bit open, but I wouldn't be surprised if those 4 teams finish in the exact same way.
You probably not too far off from accuracy on that one.
It's going to be fun to watch as it gets closer.
And with Holland coming back hopefully soon, it should get a little.
You mean Man City's Holland? I hate that rumor exists.
You know what? I'd be more happy if he went to Arsenal and that Norwegian connection there.
Him and Odegaard do it. I don't think he's going to go to Chelsea now.
He's certainly not going there.
No. Would you look at that? It's getting tight over in Italy for the Scudetto, but it's AC Milan who currently occupy that top spot, followed by Napoli, who sit 3 points behind in second, while Inter Milan are in third, and they're 4 points behind, and Juventus round out the top 4, 7 points behind. AC Milan might start to feel the pressure a bit more, as both Napoli and Inter recently, in the past few weeks, have gotten knocked out of their respective European tournaments. Napoli, following their exit of the Champions League, went down to the Europa League, and Barcelona beat them, and Inter just got knocked out by Liverpool. With 10 games left in the land of, if you guys have seen this,
yes,
Zlatan dressed in all black on a mean-ass motorcycle, got Ronaldo scoring a hat-trick the day before, and then seeing that picture. Boys, I was feeling hot.
It's a good weekend for you.
It was a good weekend in the Ferris household, let me tell you that much. AC Milan will hope that Zlatan and sexy Frenchie Giroud will score 8 more goals each to help propel the Rossoneri back to glory. Both are currently are tied for the club's lead with 8 goals in the league, and I believe they're tied with one more player. I'm not quite sure, but that should be a very tight. That's probably the tightest battle besides the Premier League in terms of your overall top 4. That is the tightest battle in all of the leagues. So the Serie A is really starting to heat up and look good. Would you look at that? Despite being 15 points ahead in the Uber Eats French League 1.
It's Uber Eats.
Uber Eats French League 1. I know it's you. PSG superstars Messi and Neymar get booed and whistled virtually every time they touch the ball.
Could you imagine?
Yesterday.
Did you ever imagine?
They beat breaks my heart. They beat bottom of the table club Bordeaux 3-0, but yet, and I believe Neymar scored the second. Messi and Neymar got booed by their fans.
Oh,
because PSG, despite winning the first leg 1-0 against Real Madrid and going up 1-0 for 60 minutes of the second leg in the Champions League, gave up a 17-minute hat trick to Karim Benzema, which in turn knocked PSG out of the Champions League once more. The whole reason PSG are viable on the footballing planet, and even with Messi, the supposed GOAT, don't even get me started on that, they still can't even win or get far enough to compete and make it to a Champions League final, let alone win. Fun stat. Cristiano Ronaldo scored more goals on Saturday than Messi has scored in the entire season of playing in the French League. Just that competition.
It's the Pochettino curse.
Now, I did see a stat today that Messi's hit the woodwork the most in all of Europe, but
Pochettino did say if he came back to the Premier League, he'd love to get back to the Spurs, and I am for it.
I'm sure you are.
I am for it.
I do not want him at United.
It's totally the Pochettino curse.
Yep, always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
That poor guy. But very interesting times in the footballing world of Europe. And that is your... Hold on.
Take that last sip.
Would you look at that? La Liga's roundup.
My goodness. All right, that brings us to the end. Our beers reviewed. I did the Big Storm Category 3 triple. What did you have again, Ferris?
I had the IPA number 19 triple IPA from Collective Arts and Finback.
And Ron?
I did the Lucky Luke Brewing Company's West Coast IPA.
That's a mouthful.
I want to try that.
I do too. That does look good.
Give us a follow over on the Untapped for all these beers. And, follow us on the Facebooks, the Instagrams, all that good jazz. If you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts, get us a screen grab of it. We will get you a koozie or a magnet or a sticker or something out to you. Just reach out to us with a DM on our socials or go to the website, brewtifulgame.com, and you can drop us an email. I think that wraps us all up.
Oh, real quick.
Yep.
One quick thing. I have a pretty fun story for you real quick. So while I'm out here in California, I'm setting up a little hiking adventure because I like going to hike. And I had to go reserve a spot at the campground. So when I went there today, I was kind of running through the campground from my car to the office. And the guy said to me, hey, you can't run in a campground. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, you ran in a campground. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, it's past tense.
Yeah.
Thank God you're in LA. I had a feeling that's where it was going.
Yeah.
I had to. It was too good to pass up.
That's a good one. We've been slowly going through. I've discovered when you have a toddler, sometimes you don't watch movies all at once. You watch them in chunks. And we've been slowly watching Jungle Cruise with her, and I love it because they gave Rock all those like bad dad jokes like they do on the Jungle Cruise.
Movie, though.
I am loving it so far. And Emily Blunt, man, come on, she's amazing.
I think it's great. I think it's just a nice, enjoyable, just fun thing.
To be honest, I'd watch 10 more action adventure movies with her and The Rock as co-leads. Who knew they were so fun together? So
nice.
Emily Blunt was in Sicario. That is one of the best
Sicario, so good.
Yeah,
but those dad jokes in that movie are great. I was like, there was one that actually popped up. I went, well, I'm not going to do the one I was going to do today because people think I got that from this movie, so I will hold off.
I would have actually appreciated if you got it from that movie opposed to your others that Lord only knows where you get them from.
Don't worry. Now I've got one in the chamber since Ron dropped his for the day. So I got one saved. I got a dad joke in hand. There you go.
You postponed your previous one.
Yep. I sure did.
What's the saying? A dad joke in the hand is two in the bush.
Whoa, hey now. This is a family podcast.
That's a whole different podcast.
I love it. All right, gents. That was good. Here we go. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brewtiful Game.